Hello there, Raptors. My name's Paul Mills from Raptoreum Core, and here I have Hunter Schultz, who is the head of production for Raptoreum.
How you doing, Paul? Good to be here.
Very good, thank you. We are back with another Raptor chain reaction episode, and today we are focusing on Rickenbacker guitars.
Which is an amazing brand. They've been around since 1932, and they invented the electric guitar. So this is a long-standing company. And they've also been an amazing tool for musicians because of their distinctive tone. And some of those musicians are the Beatles,
Yeah, the
Lemmy
Beatles,
yeah. There's a great story about how John Lennon was supposed to receive a 12-string electric guitar from Rickenbacker. And I believe it was John Hall, the son of the owner, F.C. Hall, who took it to the hotel room in New York to give it to John. And George answered the door because he wasn't feeling well, and the other three were out partying.
Yeah.
And George wound up with the 12-string. Funny how that worked. Good old George.
Yeah.
Saw a good deal and went for it, yeah. But anyway, so Rickenbacker is one of these incredible names, and because their guitars are essentially handmade, they do some CNC work, but they're handmade, they're hand assembled, and they're very expensive. And you can imagine the counterfeiters out there are seeing that and saying, "Oh yeah, let's counterfeit it." And so they do have a problem with that. And there are some issues that they're dealing with and have dealt with for a long time. And this was an ideal subject for today's Raptor chain reaction. So,
Absolutely.
Paul,
Yeah.
let's start off with something that I think is, we were discussing this earlier, and that is the basic solution for this that we've come up with is a combination of NFC chips and the Raptoreum blockchain. But you refined it in a good way, and that was, do we use one chip or two?
Well,
so why don't you talk about that?
Well, the thing is with these guitars, they come in two main parts. One is obviously the neck, and another is the body. Now, if you put an NFC chip in just the body, you could buy a guitar. It might have a fake neck, but a real body. So I was thinking that maybe you could use two NFC chips. So you could put one in the neck and also one in the body. And when someone goes to check the guitar's genuine, they would scan it with their mobile device and it would come back, yeah, genuine product, Rickenbacker. The NFC chips could be linked up to an updatable Raptoreum acid on the blockchain. And I was also thinking that every time the guitar is serviced or, exchanged in hands, then the asset could be updated. And the value in that is not only could the customer verify they have a genuine product, they can also see the history of the Rickenbacker guitar as well. Provenance, yes, exactly.
Yeah. So imagine if all the guitars that the Rickenbackers that John Lennon used had that technology in, those values of those guitars would be even more than. And I know Paul McCartney still has, I'm pretty sure he still has his Ricks, his bass guitars. So I recalled.
NFC is it's cheap technology. It's in everyone's bank cards, everyone's mobile devices. It's really not expensive at all to integrate it into the manufacturing process for Rickenbacker guitars, in my opinion. You could literally house it in between two pieces of wood, and that'd be it. And then it'd be glued together, and it'd be there forever. And it doesn't need power.
Right.
Right.
You take it out and you ruin the guitar. There's your anti-counterfeit. Yeah, you've ruined it, basically.
Exactly. Yeah.
So let's talk about anti-counterfeiting. So I think the thing that you just mentioned, and that is the updatable assets. And that might be something to explore about how Raptoreum has updatable assets. And for those who aren't really up on the subject, go back a bit and explain what this means for Rickenbacker guitars. for the guys there, the sons of the owner.
Okay.
They're managing it now.
Yeah. Okay, so Raptoreum supports assets that are both. You could create an asset that's not updatable, and then you can create an asset that's updatable. And that means that additional information or the story of a Rickenbacker guitar can be added to the asset over time without changing its core identity. For instance, if a guitar undergoes maintenance or customization, these details can be added to its digital record, and that's something that I think could be really valuable to Rickenbacker guitars.
The other aspect of this, depending on the manufacturer, because I know Rickenbacker is kind of tight-lipped about how they make the guitars, and they're very tight-lipped about a lot of information about the guitars themselves. So, but they should know of the options that they can put as an asset. For instance, they could, for each individual guitar, because they're all handmade, they could literally do a story about each guitar in the manufacturing process, so that when you do scan it, you have the option, if you will, of reading a QR code. Well, and it goes to a database, and you can read about the whole thing. So you can read more about the actual guitar.
I mean, imagine this. It starts off that there's not even a guitar there. It just starts off with the NFC. Then Dave scans it because he's making the pickups. The pickups get passed to the next guy who's making the body. He scans it. And then that from the exact start of creation, each of that step can be then provided to the customer, because it's there, the date and time it was made, everything is there, all in place, and each person that scanned that in, it shows that they did it, that's them saying, yes, I did that. You know what I mean? So the provenance is right there from the start,
from the very beginning.
From the very beginning. That would be something really cool to see. And I don't think there's any guitar company in the world that's doing that right now.
I don't know of any.
And if they did, just imagine the PR around that.
Oh yeah. Well, just being able to. Well, now let's describe for a moment. Let's say I'm going into a guitar shop, a used guitar shop, music store, and they've got a used Rickenbacker there.
Yep.
Instead of having to explain to the customer, well, yeah, it is a Rickenbacker, and you're going to have to trust me on this. So now I'm the customer. What do I need to do? Describe for me what the customer experience is going to be.
Well, the customer would literally be able to just scan the guitar there and then and see the whole history of the guitar. It'd be as simple as that. I mean,
and you'd have to do both chips.
You could scan both chips, yes, but I think that both chips would be linked to the single history. You know what I'm saying? So if the chip was to be separated from the other one, then it would make the history null, because then both chips would need each other to work. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yes. So in other words, you'd have to go to Rickenbacker to get another NFC chip. Yep. If you got it repaired.
If you got it repaired.
Because you have to return some parts. And they're part of what they do with anti-counterfeiting is if you need to repair, I'm trying to remember the name of the guitar parts, but you have to return certain parts to Rickenbacker, and then they'll send you another one, and then give you another a serial number. They'll make a record of it, apparently.
Yep.
So there's that issue, and you send the neck back, and you get another redone chip.
Well, they already know what chip's in your body of your guitar.
Right.
So they would send a neck back with a reprogrammed chip that matches the one on the body. and then that goes to the like a verified repair technician for the guitars that is, you know, verified by Rickenbacker. They put the guitar back together, and then the neck and the body matches. Everyone's happy.
If I'm Rickenbacker, I've got an opportunity, the option, if you will,
Mm-hmm.
to showcase from start to finish, and even the provenance, and then the assurance that what we have here is a real Rick. And that's huge.
And also, yes, there are other asset chains out there, like Ethereum, like BSC, but the problem with these other chains is they're running on a programming language called Solidity. Now, Solidity is constantly being updated because new holes in the code are being found, new ways to hack the code are being found, and asset issuers are constantly having to update their assets to comply with the new code if there are holes in the assets that they have provided with their contracts made in Solidity. But with Raptoreum, you don't get none of that, for the simple reason that the assets are on chain. They're on the protocol layer. They're backed by the encryption of the blockchain, and there's nothing that can change that. It's basically Bitcoin code, but done the right way with assets. So, and also most of the functions that other chains require a contract, like for asset creation and transfer and this and that, you know, all of those functions are on chain as well. So there's no risky contracts to make those things happen.
Paul, let's sum this up a little bit for the guys at Rickenbacker in the audience. So what do they need to know now, and what do they need to know for possibilities in the future? Let's just give them a summary.
So I think that what they need to know now is they need to understand the importance of this technology. We've obviously talked about the NFC angle of things, so they would need to research on acquiring NFC chips to put in their guitars, which I don't think is a very difficult thing to do. I think maybe the main thing for them to think about is the size of the chip. You don't want it too large. It's got to be, you know, it's got to be tiny. It can't be flat like a card would be in a like for monetary use or bank use. You know, you can get them a lot smaller than that. Those are the things that they need to introduce into their manufacturing. Then they would need to link up a Raptoreum asset to those NFCs, which is, again, not a difficult thing to do. We can actually show them how to do that. But to summarize, Rickenbacker can mint unique digital assets for each guitar they produce, like digital certificates of authenticity, and they are stored on the Raptoreum blockchain. Each asset is unique and tied to a specific guitar. It could either be a serial number, or it could be a lot more information alongside it. You know, a serial number just for verification, or additional information of the provenance of the history of the guitar. You see, once an asset is created and linked to a guitar, it can't be altered or tampered with. Ensures the authenticity record remains secure and trustworthy. Traceability. It allows for detailed tracking of a guitar's history. For example, if a guitar is sold or transferred over, it's recorded on the blockchain each time that happens. It creates a transparent and traceable history for each guitar, making it easy to verify its authenticity at the same time, with updatable metadata on Raptoreum assets, basically an updatable asset. This means that information can be added to an asset over time without changing its core identity. So, for instance, if a guitar undergoes maintenance or customization, it can be added to its digital record. And because the information is stored on a decentralized blockchain, such as Raptoreum, it's not controlled by a single entity. And this decentralization adds an extra layer of security against fraud and against counterfeiting. You see, by leveraging these features that we've just talked about, Rickenbacker guitars can significantly reduce the risk of counterfeiting and provide their customers a reliable way of checking that their purchase is a genuine article. This not only protects the brand's reputation and earns the brand more money, but it also ensures that customers are getting genuine products and are happy at the end of it all.
Good summary. You know, it occurs to me that something we should look at down the road, not now, but something down the road is Rickenbacker and gaming, assets in gaming.
Absolutely. I think
that's a whole new kettle of fish.
Yes,
so not now, but I think that's a good separate episode.
Yeah, for real.
Down the road.
Yeah, so that's a good idea. We'll make another video about Rickenbacker guitars and gaming.
And on that bombshell, as one former Top Gear host used to say, thank you very much. This has been an eye opener, as they say.
Not a problem.
Appreciate it.
It's a pleasure chatting with you, Hunter. Thank you all for watching us, tuning in for this episode on Rickenbacker guitars for the Raptor ChainReaction series that we're doing. We will be back again next week for another Raptor ChainReaction episode, possibly about Rickenbacker gaming.
It could be.
It could be.
And
cheers, guys.
Cheers.
Thank you very much.